Good morning, everyone. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that we are planning to record this morning's presentation. And I'm so happy to welcome you all to today's COA Awareness Week 2024 Speaker Series presentation. We appreciate your interest in the kids and teens who are impacted by the disease of addiction in their families. And as evidenced by yesterday's presentation given by NACoA co-founder Patricia O'Gorman, we know that the trauma children are experiencing today is absolutely staggering. While some of these children are fortunate to find a supportive adult who helps to protect them, so many are frightened and alone without any awareness or hope that healing is even possible. Together, we can help make a meaningful change in the lives of these children. Today's presentation should last about an hour. Please feel free to enter questions in the Q&A box, and we will get to them as we can or provide answers to you after the presentation. Now, I have the pleasure to introduce you to NACoA board member Audra West, who will introduce you to today's presenter, Dr. Flowers.
Well, thank you so very much, and happy Valentine's Day to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce Dr. James Flowers, the esteemed founder of J. Flowers Health Institute. For nearly 3 decades, Dr. Flowers has stood at the forefront of the fields of chronic pain, addiction, and recovery, earning recognition as a distinguished expert through his innovative approach to evaluating and treating mental health, chronic pain, and co-occurring disorders. With a rich educational background complemented by fellowships in behavioral pain management and clinical rotations at leading healthcare institutions, Dr. Flowers has significantly contributed to the development of comprehensive recovery programs across the nation's top healthcare and addiction treatment centers. His work integrates meticulous evaluation, diagnosis, and healthcare planning with tailored treatment strategies, emphasizing a multidisciplinary approach to the mental health and addiction treatment. As a co-founder of several exclusive treatment programs, Dr. Flowers embodies his passion for creating progressive healthcare solutions that address the needs of individuals suffering from mental health issues, addiction, chronic pain, and underlying disorders. His commitment to advancing healthcare, human healing, and system development has positioned him as a beacon of hope and a leader in the medical clinical community. In addition to his clinical achievements, Dr. Flowers is a celebrated public speaker and the host of the weekly podcast, Understanding the Human Condition, where he shares insights into health causes, conditions, and recovery with esteemed guests. Today, Dr. Flowers will enlighten us with his talk on unleashing the power within, the science of manifesting your life, offering his profound experience and visionary perspective to guide individuals towards empowerment and wellness. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Dr. James Flowers, a pioneer dedicated to enhancing healthcare and transforming lives.
That was amazing, Audra. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, Audra, so much. I love our relationship and working together. We've worked together for years, and I hope everybody at Guest House is doing fantastic and you're doing well. So happy Valentine's, everybody. Thanks for having me. And to the audience, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to see so many of you. And Denise, thank you for calling and reaching out to me. Denise, I'm going to tell on Denise. She just sent me a text and she said, "I love your beard." And I have never, ever in my life grown a beard before. So I'm looking at myself in Zoom right now going, do I like that or not? So maybe I should take a vote and say shave or no shave. So we'll get started. Unleashing the power within, the science of manifesting your life means something so close to me. And one of the things that I really want to say is that manifesting your life has been, the word manifesting in life has meant so many things in my own life that are personal to me. And I want to do a little bit of self-disclosure and say that I grew up in an extremely dysfunctional, traumatized family, and my mother was an alcoholic, prescription pill addict, and my father was an alcoholic, and my sister died from her addiction, and I've lost several other family members to addiction. And it's just been surrounded in my life since I was an infant. And for some reason or another, I really looked at addiction as a child, I mean, a small child, and really said, I'm going to step back from this, and I don't want to be a part of this. I'm going to live my life in a more healthy way than these people. And I really started saying that when I was so young, probably less than 6 years old, really, talking to myself about it and watching it, because I was living in that traumatized home and traumatized family. And it's been multi-generational addiction in my family on both sides, my mother's side and my father's side. And the one thing, probably more than one thing positive happened to me, I'm sure, as a child, but the most important thing, I believe, is that my mother, even in her addiction and even in her times of using Valium in her life, and allowing really a nanny to raise me and not being raised by my mother, the one thing that she would do is hug me every day, give me a kiss, tell me she loved me, and tell me how important I am, and that I can do whatever I want to do with my life. And she would tell me that every single day, and literally 365 days a year. And the rest of her life was pretty darn chaotic. And so was mine, because her life was chaotic. But she always said to me, you can achieve whatever it is in life that you want. And she drilled that into my head, probably not knowing what she was doing. But over the years, over the years, I have manifested my life, and everything in my life that I have truly dreamed of, and really visualized, I have been able to manifest. And I really want to say that that is so important to children and adolescents, and all of us really here today, is that I really do believe that no matter what our circumstances are in life, whether someone is being bullied, whether someone is being called fat and ugly and four eyes, or whatever kids call each other these days, that we can overcome that, and we can overcome our childhood trauma, and we can do it with the help of therapy, and we can do it with the help of programs. Even Audra West introduced me and that amazing program and trauma program that they have at Guest House, and is amazing for trauma. And I just believe if we do the work, we can absolutely achieve what it is that we want in our life. So I want to start with a quick interactive exercise. And what I'd like you to do is right now is, unless you're driving a car, please don't do this, but if you're in a safe place to be able to do this, what I'd like you to do is just kind of close your eyes for just a moment. And I really want you to visualize a particular goal, a desire in your life, an outcome in your life. It can be anything from a wanting a new relationship and what that person looks like, wanting a new job, wanting a new career, wanting a college degree, a high school diploma, whatever it is that you want. I just want you to visualize that just for 10 or 15 seconds with your eyes closed. Okay, so guess what? You accomplished manifestation in the first step, right? We have to know what we want in life to be able to manifest whatever it is in our life that we want. And we can manifest what we want. So today, we're going to talk about, and the learning objectives today, are really understanding some science of manifestation, because there actually is science behind it, harnessing the power of visualization and what that means, cultivating a positive mindset in your life, activating the law of attraction, empowering self-belief and confidence, nurturing gratitude and having positive energy, and integrating action and alignment, so that all of these things can come together and you can manifest what that is that you want in your life and what you truly want your life to be. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand, said Bob Proctor. I always say, if you see it, you can achieve it. If you dream it, you can achieve it. And I will probably throw in little interactive things throughout the presentation today of things that I believe that I have manifested in my life to make it a better life. What is the power of visualization? Understanding the power of visualization is our ability to create an outcome that we just don't see. By visualizing it in the present tense today, in other words, visualizing that you have that today, our brain creates a new pathway and it accesses our creative subconscious and notices aligned opportunities that are in front of us. Imagination is a major component of visualization. So obviously imagination is different than visualizing. Synthetic imagination. Synthetic imagination works with the material of experience, education, observation, and that the brain is fed. The faculty does not create anything. It arranges old concepts or ideas and plans for these new combinations. And creative imagination works automatically. The faculty or the brain functions only when the conscious mind is stimulated through a desire. So the power of visualization, visualizing activates the reticular activating system within our brain. The reticular activating system has one job, and that's filtering. And by visualizing, we start the reprogramming process in our brain. Sorry about that. By visualizing, we start the reprogramming process so that our brain starts to align with our desires, because we can speak and see what our desires are. And the more we feed that through our brain, it actually rewires and turns you towards those goals and manifests what it is. The reticular activating system works to filter and select only data that it believes is valuable or supportive to whatever you currently think, believe, or activate, and to achieve it. And that works in reverse too. Constantly thinking in the negative truly draws negative experiences to our life. And when we notice that we are having a negative thought, it's critical that we recognize it, pause, and let it go, and then turn it back to a positive thought of what that goal or achievement is that you're looking for. The filtering of data starts to shape both our conscious and our subconscious mind, and ultimately it becomes aware inside of our body, inside of our brain, and outside of our body as well. And as a result, you start to specifically notice people, information, solutions, and events that relate to whatever you currently believe. In other words, you're visualizing, reprogramming your brain, and subconsciously, those things start appearing in front of you. And I'll give you an easy, weird example, but I don't know if any of you have, say, a red car, or you go by a white car, and you go by a black car, and you drive it off the parking lot, and all of a sudden, you start driving down the road, and you're like, oh, there's a black car. Oh, there's another black car. And all of a sudden, all day long, and for the first month of you driving this new car, you see black cars every day, everywhere. And you start noticing that. So a little bit differently, when we visualize and want to dream, and we continually see that, and we continually know that it is in front of you, then something happens in our lives that brings that closer to us. So what we want to do is be clear in our desire. You can't say, oh, another quick, easy example is, oh, I'd like to have money. Be clear about what you want. Write it down, speak it out loud every single day, wherever you are. You can do it in an elevator by yourself. You can do it in your bedroom. You can do it in the bathroom. You can do it walking around the house, anytime that you want, but speak it loud every day and believe that you already have what it is that you want. So a quick example of that in my own life is I have always wanted to have a treatment center that was built really on a country west or central Texas location on a ranch and have a beautiful place with an amazing clinical team. And I was very specific about what I wanted. And I visualized the buildings, I visualized the property, I visualized the oak trees, I visualized the roads. And I did that every day and said, I will have a property in the hill country with a treatment center with buildings that look like this. And I did that for me, it was probably, I don't know, probably a year, I think. And I would say it every day. I cut pictures out of magazines and they were in my office, and knew in my mind that I was going to achieve that. I spoke it out loud and I believed that I already had it. And what happened is it helps me determine what I want. It sparks inspiration, it boosts motivation, and it increases our confidence, and it improves our mood when we do that. So every single day I would visualize this ranch, I would speak about the ranch, I would feel better doing that, and improved my mood because I knew that I was having that. I pretended I already had it like we're supposed to do. It sparked inspiration for the current treatment center that I had, and it really helped me determine what I want in my future. And when we're talking about attracting people and attracting things in our life that help us manifest and grow to what we want, remember I said it attracts things to you when you do these things. And one day I was talking to one of my patients' mother that was in treatment, and we were just having a conversation, and she was driving back to Austin that day. And she said, do you ever get to Austin? And I said, well, I'm going to. I do go to Austin quite a bit. And I said, and I'm going to have a treatment center in Austin. I just have to find the right place at the right time. And she looked at me and she said, oh, I know of a beautiful property for sale if you want me to send it to you. And she literally sent it to me that afternoon. And I drove to Austin the next day and looked at this property, spent about 3 hours on this beautiful property. It was exactly what I had imagined in my mind. And I said, I'm going to make this a treatment center. And within a matter of 60 days, we had that property and we were opening a treatment center 3 or 4 months later. And I really do believe, obviously, there's no way that would have happened at that time unless I ran into somebody. And she just casually mentioned, do you ever get to Austin? I mentioned the treatment center, and then really manifested right in front of me what we really wanted to have. And there's so much more to that story, but basically I attracted that by speaking it out loud. So neuroplasticity, this is just an analogy of neuroplasticity in our mind, called the wheat field. Visualize this. Imagine you've been walking through a wheat field on the same path for years, and it wears a road. One day you decide that you want to create a new path to walk on. Initially, forging the new path is difficult because you have to continually beat down the obstacles, in this case, this huge wheat path. While you're walking hard and clearing a new path, the old path becomes overgrown. Grass or whatever it is, wheat in this case, begins to grow, making the new path easier than the old one. As you use these roads more and more and more, you find shorter paths to use to get what you want and get where you want, and get there to start out that road quicker, better, and more efficiently to create again and manifest the goal that you have in your life. The brain is capable of updating itself through our neurons and through our nervous system every single day. Manifestation works by using the brain's ability to grow and change through a process called neuroplasticity. For example, engaging in mentally stimulating activities, such as learning a new skill of mindfulness, can increase the thickness of the brain's cortex, and it improves our cognitive functioning. Negative thought patterns and stress also have an equal negative effect on the brain, which leads to physical changes associated with depression and anxiety. I work with a lot of chronic pain patients and have done that for many, many years. And people who visualize and say, I'm never going to be out of pain. My pain level is always a constant 10. I can't go out and work in the yard. I can't lift my grandchildren. I hurt. I don't feel good. And do that over and over again. And I realize that having horrible pain 24 hours a day for months on end can become depressing. But when you stick with that negative attitude, it truly never changes and you never get out of that pain. And when you visualize and change the way you feel about that pain and the way you think about the pain and the limiting of what you're doing to your body and your brain, you actually start feeling better. You actually start, when you visualize your pain level at a lower level, your pain level actually goes down. And by doing diaphragmatic breathing and visualization, just in one session, a therapist can walk a patient through that visualization technique, and we see pain levels drop. If someone had a level 9 pain, go down to maybe a 5, just in that short period of time. And if you continually do that, along with other exercises that a pain program would teach you, pain level can typically drop about 70% by changing the most powerful thing on the face of this earth, which is our own brain, and changing the way you think about it and using neuroplasticity to your advantage. It constantly adapts, and it's an ever-changing environment to the way that you think, positively or negatively, and manifesting whatever it is that you're believing and whatever it is that you're thinking. And in addiction and in alcoholism and in mental health, when we tend to think negative and that we're always going to be in that environment and there's never a way out, I am a drug addict, I am an alcoholic, I'm not going to change. Guess what? You're not going to change. And by thinking more positively and changing the environment and doing therapy and whatever type of therapy is necessary and beginning to change those negatives into positive, we see huge positive changes in our life almost immediately. The science behind manifestation. Let's see if I can get this here. There we go. Okay. Functional plasticity is the brain's ability to move functions from a damaged area of the brain to other undamaged areas. Structural plasticity is the brain's ability to change its physical structure. We see this in TBIs and traumatic brain injuries. We see this in chronic pain patients. We see this in severe depression and severe anxiety, and we see it in trauma cases where we can literally rewire the brain, or the brain can rewire itself by thinking, and its ability to move functions from that damaged area of the brain to undamaged areas through things like neurofeedback, things like yoga, things like mindfulness, meditation, and the structure of the brain can actually physically change. And we see that in what we refer to as functional MRIs, and watching the structure of the brain change over time. So the thought-feeling loop. Thoughts are associated with feelings and emotions, and our brains release chemicals based on feelings and emotions. Positive thoughts release positive chemicals. Negative thoughts release negative chemicals. And I'll keep it that simple. Positive thoughts create amazing positive chemicals. Negative thoughts release negative chemicals. In my own life, I know that when I don't sleep well, or I'm very stressed, either at work or a life situation, and I get caught in a negative loop, I will notice in a matter of hours that my elbows hurt and my knees hurt and my ankles hurt. And I was talking to my physician about that about a year ago and said, gosh, when I don't sleep, I always notice my knees hurt. And when I'm stressed, my knees hurt. And he said, absolutely. You know as well as I do, when we're thinking negative and you focus on that negative behavior about not sleeping, about not feeling well, about feeling depressed, we release cortisol into our body. And that cortisol goes straight to the joints of our bodies, and you actually feel a physical pain. And when you turn that around and think positive, we release things like dopamine and other things in our body. And it really does help us feel better. The thought feeling loop. Right there, we go here. Our bodies respond to the release of chemicals, just like my body responds to the release of cortisol every day, or not every day, but when I'm stressed. Our brains and bodies become addicted to those chemicals. Even if it's a chemical that's not helpful to me, like cortisol, we become psychologically addicted by thinking in negative or positive thought patterns. And our bodies signal our brains to produce more of that chemical, negative or positive, and they begin influencing then our thoughts and feelings. Am I going to continue down this negative path, or am I going to continue down a much more positive path? And you can stop, do a quick meditation, turn that around and think positively, do a 30-minute or a 20-minute meditation, mindfulness, visualization, and get yourself back into a positive thought and begin to see a positive outcome or goal that you want. And you actually physically feel, if you have chronic pain, you feel your pain level go down. If you're wanting to manifest something, again, you start noticing those positive things in your life that are helping you get closer to that goal. The connection between mind and body. You know, back in 1952, the University of Washington developed a program, a multidisciplinary program, wanting to bring the medical school, the psychological school, and the School of Psychiatry into one department, really evaluating and looking at life in a 360-degree term, meaning the biopsychosocial model of care, saying our mind and our body are absolutely connected. And two psychologists, Dr. Melzack and Wall, went to the medical school at University of Washington in 1952 and said, listen, we're seeing a huge number of psychological cases in our psych department that have been through complex disease processes, and they're experiencing anxiety and depression, and we believe that we should treat them together. And of course, back in the 50s, a physician looked at them and said, or the doctor group looked at them and said, you guys are psychologists, go over there and do your own work. We'll do our work. We're not going to interact with each other. It's not important. So Melzack and Wall went back over into their department, brought in the School of Psychiatry and said, let's do our own research and then take this back to the medical school with some positive, true facts that we can show them and outcomes. And they did. And about a year and a half later, they took them a white paper, a research paper, and said, here's the outcomes we did on the patients that continued to come over from medical school. We treated them psychologically. We fed you guys information on what we were doing. You guys read it. And here are the positive outcomes from just the little bit of collaboration that we did. So they merged the Department of Psychiatry and Psychology and Medical and started a multidisciplinary program under one roof. And it really helped them more evaluate a patient from that understanding that there is no difference between this mind and body. The body greatly affects the mind, and the mind significantly affects the body. When we don't physically feel good, we release chemicals, and our brain creates a memorized cellular response to that. And when our brain doesn't feel good and we're thinking negative, we're depressed, we're anxious, those cellular responses impact that chemistry in the brain and the structure of the brain. And it really becomes fast-tracked, and you begin to really go down a path of negativity, Or transversely, you can go down a path of very good productivity and positive thinking and turn that negative into a positive, which is what they did at University of Washington way back in the 50s. And then years later, that was able to go out of the University of Washington over to the Mayo Clinic and University of Miami, Stanford, UCLA, Johns Hopkins, and all of these academic institutions that really realized there is not a mind-body difference. There is a mind-body that are connected, and each one plays on the other. And when we're physically hurt and we don't mend like we're supposed to mend, you begin to have physical deterioration and psychological and emotional deterioration. And when you have a chronic depressed person over time, the body begins to deteriorate. So you have to treat both the body and the mind together. So the connection between the mind and body, oops, sorry guys, is that fast track cellular responses become the easier response, right? It just makes it easier. Fast track and slow track cellular responses occur simultaneously in our body and our mind, but the fast track dominates the slow track responses. In other words, we begin to feel what we think, and we think what we feel. And for 30 years of practice, I can tell you, working with thousands of patients and working on manifesting our lives, working on manifesting our goals, working with chronic pain and complex disease processes with patients, working with trauma patients, when we get stuck in that negative thinking, nothing positive is going to happen. But we can delete that negative thinking, and we can actually think what we feel, and we can think and create the more positive responses and achieve whatever goal it is, and whatever, get out of whatever negative situation we're in our life, and create a very positive outcome. And when this occurs, the body really becomes the mind. They just are completely connected, and you cannot separate, as I've said, the body and the brain, because it's really one whole system, and each responds to the other in a negative or positive way. The science behind manifestation in a subconscious mind versus the conscious mind is when our body becomes our mind, we rely on the unconscious mind or subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind becomes habitual. We do things out of habit when we're thinking positive or negative, each one of those. And when we practice the positive, it becomes a habit of doing the positive behaviors and thinking the positive things that we're thinking to create and manifest what we want, because the conscious mind is extremely creative. And working both with subconscious and conscious mind really helps us attain whatever goal it is that we're working towards. Yes. So, subconscious mind. How much of our time is spent in our subconscious mind throughout the day, every day of the year? How much time do we spend in our subconscious mind? I didn't put this out for you guys to answer where I can see it. You're probably all thinking the same thing I am. The answer is and this is through Harvard Medical School, mental health newsletter, did a study, and we are spending 95% of our time in our subconscious mind throughout the day, and things that we're doing are completely subconscious 95% of the time. So that's a lot of time, right? The answer is D, 95%. When the subconscious mind is activated, we become unaware. When we remain unaware, we stay in our subconscious mind. And when we stay in our subconscious mind, our behaviors become like reflexes. Again, It can be very positive activities, and it can be very negative activities of doing subconscious behaviors. And in addiction, whether it's alcoholism or whatever the addiction process is, our subconscious mind can be driving down the street completely sober, out of treatment, a year, 2 years, 3 years, or 6 months or 2 days. And all of a sudden, someone sees out of their eyes a liquor store and is having a craving. And many times, unfortunately, people who are not working their program and people who are not doing the things that they need to do positively to stay sober and stay well and go to meetings and do all of the things that need to be done, will sometimes see that liquor store and without even thinking about it, pull into the parking lot, go in, get a bottle of wine, come out to the car or go home and start drinking and go into a relapse behavior. So it's as easy as that sometimes being subconscious. And also it's as easy as that in positive behaviors of waking up every single morning for many people who get up at 5:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, jump out of bed and go straight to the gym to make themselves stay healthy, well, do the things that they need to do well, or going to run at the park or doing exercises on the floor and stretching our bodies to continue to allow ourselves to physically and emotionally feel better. Awareness is the key to getting outside of our subconscious mind. Getting out of our subconscious mind really does open the door to changing our life. While we can't control our subconscious, we can certainly influence it. We can influence our subconscious behavior by being more aware. When we're in a state of awareness, our mind becomes our body. When our mind is our body, we allow space to really create that outcome and that desired outcome intentionally, being aware. Activating the law of attraction, the mirror. The law of attraction is impersonal. It does not see good or bad. It simply receives and reflects what your thoughts are, a good thought or a negative thought. Simply put, it gives what it receives. You must be clear in what you desire. And you guys, again, over and over and over again, with my patient population over 30 years in teaching people about the law of attraction, being around positive people, letting go of the negative people in your life, doing the things in your life that create positive things, and letting go of all of the things in your life that create bad outcomes. It receives the information in your brain, and it really does come in and it gives it your life what it receives, negative or positive. And you have to be clear, this is what I want in my life. This is the person that I want to attract. This is the job that I want to attract. And when you do that and you take action and you're aware, those things can be manifested in your life. When we consistently think about what we don't want, we guarantee that we will not receive what we want. So again, when we think about what we don't want, and I often talk about this with chronic pain, someone who has constant pain, who constantly thinks about their pain and really is upset about their pain, we can guarantee that that person will not be out of pain. But when we constantly think about being pain-free and see ourselves running or see ourselves at a lake or see ourselves swimming or see ourselves working out and seeing ourselves pick up our children and our grandchildren and our nieces and our nephews, I can guarantee you that you will receive what you want, because you have to create it in your mind to allow it to happen to the body. Ask for it, believe it, you receive it every single time. Cultivating that positive mindset and the power of positivity, it has been scientifically proven that an affirmative thought or a positive thought is 100 times more powerful than a negative thought. Again, this comes from Harvard Mental Health Newsletter. And by the way, if you guys are not signed up to get their emails, it's free. Harvard Mental Health Newsletter. Google it, sign up to get their news, and you get amazing articles on amazing mental health and psychiatric information about studies just like this. 100 times more powerful than a negative thought. When we get into the mindset and we get into the habit of staying positive. And just because you have a negative emotion during the day doesn't mean it's automatically going to change. You can stop that negative emotion and go back into a positive thought, and your brain lets go of that negative thought. It's when you ruminate on it. When we experience negative thoughts, our body's stress increases. And I can say that in my own body as well. When I experience a negative thought, sometimes my body will react, and I can feel the blood flow go from my head or my head and shoulders out of my arms and into my body down, my diaphragm area, and my feet will get cold. That is the fight or flight response. When we're stressed, we get cold and our body gets stressed out. We have more pain, and it creates negative thoughts. Increased stress inhibits the body's optimal functioning. Increased stress also affects the body's processes on a cellular level by getting rid of oxygen and getting rid of the blood in your limbs and in your head and in your brain. Because when we're stressed, all of the blood leaves that area and focuses just in the trunk of our body. Negative thoughts weaken the body, because when we don't have good blood flow in our feet and our legs, and we don't have good blood flow in our brain because we're stressed all the time, we begin to get tired, we get fatigued, our muscles actually weaken, cellular level cells are dying, and we want to turn that around by doing positive exercises, positive visualization, walking, jogging, exercising, keeping that biopsychosocial approach to living, or even that biopsychosocial life, and working with our body, our mind, and our spirit all together at the same time. And it creates wonderful positive things. Positive thoughts are extremely powerful. Positive thoughts enhance our physical health. Enhancing our physical health decreases body stress. It lowered stress levels, help the body function optimally, and positive thoughts strengthen the body. And what we mean by that, and what I mean by that in talking to patients every day about this is, again, when we think positively, and I think I can go to the gym, I'm going to work out today, I'm going to do a 30-minute or 40-minute exercise in the fitness center, I'm going to walk for 30 or 40 minutes, our body moves, and you always feel better. You always, even if you're in chronic pain, you're depressed, you don't want to do it, and you take a leap of faith and you get outside and you do that exercise, or you go inside and do an exercise, you will feel better afterwards. It creates lower stress levels, that helps us function better, both in our brain and in our body, and it strengthens the body for longevity in our life. Secret shifters. Make a list of things that give you instant joy. What makes you happy, or what would make you happy right now? When you find yourself in a negative mindset, focus on that list. A minute or two of focus shifts our mindset and our frequency. So make a list, and I always say make a small list. Do 3 things. What gives you instant joy? It can be a thought, it can be a feeling, it can be an activity, it can be anything in the world, but there are 3 little things that can give you joy. And when you're in a negative mindset, remember that list, think about that list, and get out of that negative attitude and get right back into a positive attitude, because you're going to create the life that you deserve and the life really that you want. We have the power to change our internal world by choosing our own thoughts, and our current thoughts create our future lives. All that we are is a result of what we have thought, said Buddha. And it's just the truth. We are, that old saying, we are what we eat. We are what we think. And if we think positively, we are going to be positive, and great things are going to happen in our life. When we are negative, negative things are going to happen in our life. And by thinking positive, being told, ask your friends, ask your coworkers or a best friend or someone, your partner, and just say, hey, let's do a 30-day challenge. And every single morning, let's either text each other, let's talk to each other, let's be around each other, and let's encourage each other to do the 30-day challenge on creating our own universe, having a powerful thought of your internal world, sending someone else a positive thought about themselves makes you feel better, and it makes them feel better. Our current thoughts create our future lives. So do a 30-day challenge with a friend of yours or a partner or anyone that you want, and you will see that your thoughts are a result, or you are what you have thought over the last 30, 60, 90 days, and you will begin to see changes in your life for the positive. The law of pure potentiality. Pure potentiality equals pure consciousness and pure awareness. The field of potentiality is your own body, your own mind, and you have infinite possibilities, and all creativity lies within this field of pure thought, pure consciousness, pure awareness. When in this field of positivity, there's no separation between you and that energy. It shifts our internal reference point to our spirit, and it enables us to experience our true self, and our self-referral creates self-power, and our self-power is extremely magnetic. And I don't know if this...
The door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind opens up as we get beyond our analytical mind. And our analytical mind is actually what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind. So as you slow your brain waves down, you get into alpha, you're entering the operating system. And that's where you can rewrite a new program. That's where you can rehearse a new script. Some people can get to the point where they're so relaxed that the body's in a light sleep, and yet they're conscious and awake, and now they're in this theta brainwave pattern. And in theta, that's a hypnotic state. We're very suggestible to our thoughts. We're very suggestible to information in that state. And that state then is where we see the most change take place. The person can literally change from the inside out when they learn how to get into the operating system.
So being silent, meditating, and non-judgmental really does, there we are, being silent, meditating, and being non-judgmental. 3 difficult things. But if you can find 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes somewhere in your 24-hour day to be in silence, meditate on positive things, visualize on positive things, and when you find yourself in the middle of meditation being judgmental, just recognize it, allow it to pass through your mind, and go right back into a non-judgmental state. And I don't care if you're 6 or 7 years old or you're 99 years old, these things can change your life. By meditating in silence and being non-judgmental and visualizing your future in a positive way, whether it's a month from now or a year from now or 6 years from now, you can achieve what you can see, no matter what it is. Silence is creating time to simply be. Without silence, our minds become very turbulent. Internal dialogue will quiet the persistence, and each day set aside 10, 15, 20, 30. And if you have to start with 5, start with 5 and work your way up. Periodically experience silence for an extended period of time. And it's just like running a marathon. When you haven't run a marathon before, you can't just go out and run 26.2 miles. You start walking slowly, and then you walk faster, and then you do a slow jog for half a mile, work your way up to a mile, then work your way up to 2 and 3. And you're able to run a marathon within about 15 weeks. Going from never running before to 15 weeks, you can run a marathon. Anybody can do it. You have to think positively about it, and you have to take action about it. So doing this, as simple as it sounds, it can be difficult, but if you allow your space and you allow your time to do this every day, you absolutely will manifest that goal that you have in your life. Meditation, it allows us to practice stillness and silence. There's a connection to pure potentiality, and it's found within the stillness of our lives or of that moment. Meditation allows us to overcome our self-limiting belief system. Dedicate time each day for meditation. We are programmed to constantly judge. If I said we don't have time to do it today, but if we sit in silence for a period of 5 minutes and I guide you through that 5 minutes, thinking about different things in your life, it is amazing. If you have a pad and a piece of a pen or a pencil and a pad, and you sit in silence for 5 minutes and you think about your day, it's amazing how many strikes on the paper that you will put on a paper with negative thoughts that come into your mind. It creates turbulence. By practicing this non-judgment, we create silence in our minds. So when we have that negative judgment, let it come through and then just disappear. Judgment blocks the flow of energy. Non-judgment unblocks the flow of energy because we're allowing ourselves to think positively, opening up our system because our body is relaxed and it's non-stressed, and the vascular system is open, airflow is coming in, blood flow is flowing. When we're judging, we're stressed. And when we're stressed, our muscles tighten and our nervous system tightens, and it restricts the flow of blood and oxygen throughout our body. Medical fact, you can see it on a fMRI, which is a functional MRI. You can put someone in that machine and you can have them walk through negative thoughts, talk about something negative that happened over the last month. And under MRI, you can actually see the body tightening without even feeling it physically, and the nervous system being tightened and the blood flow slowing down throughout our body. Non-judgment closes the gap between your thoughts and the field of pure potentiality. Without a doubt, the most common weakness of all human beings is the habit of leaving their minds open to negative influence of other people. Happens to me still, it happens to everyone I know, it happens to a lot of you. The most common weakness of human beings is the habit of leaving our minds open to the negative influence of other people. How many times in restaurants, tonight, tomorrow, when you're out for Valentine's tonight or whatever you're doing, when you're in a public spot and there's tables around you, if you sit there quietly and listen to each table for a minute, I guarantee you 3 of the 4 conversations around you will be negative conversations. It is outrageous, you guys. Every conversation, or 3 of the 4 conversations, will be 2, 3, or 4 people talking about something negative. Demand action for self-confidence. This is the formula for that. Demand action to yourself. Concentrate on your thoughts, develop your self-confidence, define your chief aim, align your actions, memorize the formula, repeat it once a day, 20 to 30 minutes of meditation every single day. Trying to get through this before we're out of time. And desire, backed by faith, makes the impossible possible. You have to have faith that the possible is possible. And you can do that by practicing every day and then starting to see the results. Adding feelings to the desire creates even a more powerful frequency. So how do you physically feel? How do you emotionally feel? And where you're doing all of these positive thoughts and positive meditations, you develop more dopamine, you release dopamine, and you actually feel more positive and your bodies feel better. You don't have to start at the beginning. You don't have to follow a specific timeline. Time is just an illusion, and everything that you want already exists. You just have to reach out and make it happen. Expectation is a powerful, attractive force. Expect it, and you will receive it. And don't forget, negative or positive. So let's keep it on the positive and trust your instincts. Gratitude is absolutely the way to bring more into your life. Having gratitude, also writing a gratitude list. If you have to start with 3, 2, or 1 or 5, do that. But every single day, if you think about what your gratitude is for that day and what you have gratitude for, it automatically makes you feel better. I have gratitude for my children. I have gratitude for my job. I have gratitude for the environment in which I get to be. I have attitude for whatever it is, gratitude for whatever it is. It creates positive energy in your body by speaking that in your mind. Express gratitude for what you want as if you already have it. Maintain an attitude of gratitude and find gratitude in small little things throughout the day. I walk almost every day or jog every day at Memorial Park here in Houston. And that's my time alone. And it's my thinking and my thoughtful time. And when I run through the park at Memorial Park here in Houston, when I see things like beautiful trees, the golf course, buildings beyond the golf course, I got into the habit of when I run, it's my absolute positive thinking for 3 to 5 miles of running is really looking at little things like flowers or bushes or trees or the leaves coming out after winter, and having gratitude for little small things as well as big things just creates a more positive life. Feeling gratitude equals positive energy and positive frequencies. Positive energy creates positive frequencies, and begin your day with gratitude. It sets the tone. End your day with gratitude. It enforces what you did throughout that day. Feeling ungrateful, having negative energy and negative frequencies blocks those positive. Focus on what you do have instead of what you don't have. Action is the intent to receive. Effortless will not feel like work, and it puts us on a frequency to receive. Imagine yourself successful in whatever achieving, whatever that goal is. Reflect on the past successes, define the goals, respond positively to life. You're going to have a failure. Don't focus on that failure. Let it go, because it's an opportunity for your future. Recreate negative experiences as positive experiences, and it changes the frequency and signal for the next day. No matter how many times you're defeated, you keep trying. And let me tell you, we've all failed and failed and failed, but it all comes back to us. Persistence is a state of mind. Developing persistence, having a definite purpose, creating a plan. Close your mind to negative, discouraging influences, and success comes to those who become successful at consciousness. I'm going to stop there. There's several more slides actually, but we're at an hour, and I just want to know, do we want to look at any chat comments or questions? But what I want to say is, guys, if you can believe it and you can see it, you can achieve it. Again, no matter if you're 7 or 5 years old or you're 98 or 99 years old, I see it every single day. And most importantly for me, is I've seen it in my lives, and I've seen it in the patients in which I work so many times every day. So practice positivity, practice manifestation, and you can achieve it if you can see it.
Oh, Dr. Flowers, thank you so much. I hate to have this end. I could listen to you talk about this all afternoon, and I think a lot of people here probably would agree. There's been a lot of positive comments put into the chat box. There is a question that, if there's a way to answer it briefly, that I will pass along to you. What is the best way to get children of severe trauma to manifest? They are so afraid to believe because of the trauma and continuous disappointment.
Yeah. So when you were reading that to me or telling me that, I was thinking about my own childhood and my own trauma that I went through, and then the therapy and the group therapy that my mother had the sense to put me into. And what I believe about that is that when we create a feeling of that therapeutic alliance with children, I'd love to tell the story of a kid that I worked with for an entire kindergartner that I worked with for an entire semester, who never said one word to me in 50-minute sessions until the last day when I said our sessions are over, and he just unleashed for the next hour. And the outcome was beautiful. We have to be patient. I believe it can work. You have to give them space, and you just have to keep you being positive and letting them know that they can create, and using some of these slides in your mind to speak them in sessions really does go a long way. It may not happen overnight, but I really do believe that therapeutic alliance and letting them gain little bits of trust in you and being there, showing up, letting them know that you're there for them and with them, and that you want to work with them and that you believe them is so important. So it's that therapeutic alliance for me. That's the quick answer.
Oh, thank you so very much. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. Thank you so much for sharing the last hour with us. We have 2 more presentations this week for our COA Awareness Week speaker series. Tomorrow, we have Sesame Street joining us. H is for Hope and Healing, Parental Addiction Resources for Children and Families. And then on Friday, we have our Senior Clinical Advisor, Jerry Moe, to speak on What About the Children? Help, Hope, and Healing. So thank you all once again. We wish you a wonderful afternoon. And thank you so much for caring about the children and helping them remember that they are not alone and that there is hope to stop the hurting and that they too can embrace recovery. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.